Hello everybody. Today we are discussing spinal cord transection part 2. In the part 1 we have discussed regarding stages of transection and we have learned regarding spinal shock. Now let's move further from spinal shock to the stage of reflex recovery, then reflex failure, then we'll summarize what are the changes in the complete transection of spinal cord. Then we'll move forward to hemisection and incomplete transection of spinal cord. So it is again the same competency PY 10.6. Describe and discuss spinal cord, its functions, lesions and sensory disturbances. So here we are discussing the lesions and sensory disturbances. So objectives of today's talk is stages of spinal transection, spinal shock, which we have already discussed. Just to summarize today, then we'll be focusing on a reflex recovery, reflex failure, hemisection and incomplete transection. Now regarding the spinal shock which we have discussed in the previous lecture, one thing should be very clear, that this shock is different from circulatory shock, which is due to cardiac or circulatory reasons, maybe because of hypotension or maybe because of cardiac problems. This is the basically spinal shock or neurological, basically it is. So here, as I mentioned the definition in the last lecture, it is loss of all sensations and all reflexes below level of lesion of spinal cord. That is a spinal shock, and in that we have seen that the mind is clear, means the cerebral cortex is normal, mainly sensations and reflexes are lost below level of lesion, and the blood pressure will be variable, depends on the site of lesion. Between T1 up to L2 the blood pressure autonomic nerves are passing out. So if the lesion is below L2, blood pressure will be totally normal, and if lesion is above T1, so blood pressure will reduce, and if in between it will be variable. So this stages we have discussed: spinal shock, reflex recovery and reflex failure. So from the spinal shock, as we have discussed, it is usually depends on degree of encephalization. So in human beings it is around 2 weeks. So after 2 weeks gradually the patients start to recover. Now the different theories have been proposed why the recovery is there, what is the physiological basis of recovery. So let's see regarding this. So recovery is basically due to development of denervation, hypersensitivity to the mediators released by remaining spinal excitatory endings. So as it is a cut, the axon is open, so whatever the neurotransmitters are released and they become hypersensitive and they start stimulating the surrounding neurons. Plus contributing factor is sprouting of collaterals from the existing neurons, with the formation of additional excitatory endings on interneurons and motor neurons. So this will start exciting the surrounding neuron. So basically it is now a release phenomenon, a release from the effect of higher center. Just for example, a class is going on, 200 students are in the class, only one man, that is teacher, is talking, rest all have kept quiet, it's pin drop silence. Everybody is listening to the teacher. Moment the teacher goes out of the class, for whatever the reason, maybe at the end of class is moving out, you can see suddenly there is increase in noise level of the class. Now what is that? It is basically again a release phenomenon, release from the inhibitory effect of a teacher. Similarly, spinal cord, different neurons are there which are normally under control from higher cortical centers, which are constantly bombarding their influences coming from cortex, basal ganglion, cerebellum. So now once the spinal cord is cut off, transaction takes place. So after the duration of spinal shock is over, now they start to recover the neurons and now their action is unopposed. So because of that, excitation increases. Now the first reflex response to appear as spinal shock wears off in humans is usually a flexure response and adductors in the response to noxious stimulus, but in some the knee jerk recovers first. So variable are there. Usually flexure is a basic response, that's why it appears first. So slightly, gradually the recovery starts. Now let's see the physiological basis to this from this diagram. This is our spinal cord. This is a part of the skin. This is our muscle with the extraphyseal and intraphyseal fiber. So from this green you can see this intraphyseal fiber, our sensory. This is our gamma motor neuron, which is supplying our muscle spindle. This is our sensory nerve, which is coming from this muscle spindle, which is red. This is our alpha motor neuron, which is supplying our extraphyseal fiber. So this is the nerve coming from part of the skin. Now each and every segment of the spinal cord will be receiving multiple sensory nerves from the skin, from the tendon, from the muscle spindle also. So these are the sensory nerve, bunch of nerves coming from different places. Maybe for touch, pain, temperature, if you recall, there is a Lebel-Lund principle. So we have got different nerves for different sensations. Like these nerves are arising. Now this is the transsectional spinal cord. So obviously all this now influence coming from higher center is gone now. So after the duration of spinal shock is over, now suppose we are giving stimulation to the skin here. Now we have given a stimulation to the skin now. So what happens? Because of this impulse generated, it will travel to the spinal cord under normal like also. But now as the impulse is coming, and now all the neurons here are basically not under influence from higher center. So they are under released phenomena. So see what happens now. This response goes fast. So it is the increased force of contraction takes place. So it is a release phenomena. Under normal condition also maybe impulse is coming from here and it will go back, but this was under control from the descending tract. So it will as per the requirement only. But now a simple impulse is coming, but as it is being released from center, higher center, it goes fast. Similarly, let's see what happens with the reflexes. So here we are giving a tap to our tendon, just like bicep jerk, tricep jerk. So this will lead to stretching of this muscle spindle, generation of action potential in the muscle spindle. It will travel to the spinal cord. Now again see what happens. This response generated in the alpha motor neuron, it goes fast. So it is a hyperreflexia or brisk reflexes. Now both of this is because of this release from the higher center. So we get increased muscle tone and as well as increased hyperreflexia. So these are the classical features of upper motor neuron lesion or a released phenomena. So when there is a transaction spinal cord, once the spinal cord start to recover, the reflexes are brisk and muscle contraction is increased. So here you can see in this diagram, I have shown a schematic diagram of a spinal cord with only 4 segments just to make you understand in a better way. These are the different groups of muscles. These are the alpha motor neuron and these are the nerves which are supplying the respective muscle. These are our peripheral nerves, just like maybe median nerve, radial nerve, ulnar nerves. These are the descending tract. You can see these are the crossed 80% fibers. These are both 80% cross fibers. This is called as lateral corticospinal tract. These are our 20% uncrossed fiber, which blue I am showing. So these are the anterior corticospinal tract or ventral corticospinal tract. You can see here they are supplying both sides. They are having a bilateral supply. So this blue you can see these are the supplying both. So these are in the center. These are supplying the axial muscles or muscles which are controlling body posture, and the lateral are unilateral going on one side only. Now this is our transsectional spinal cord, complete transsectional spinal cord. So see what happens now. Here we have taken at the level of T5. So at T4 there is no problem. So above level of lesion, muscle tone is normal. So this above T4, T3, T4, this will have a normal in the spinal cord. At T5 what happens now? This alpha motor neurons are damaged. So when alpha motor neuron is damaged, that is called as lower motor neuron lesion. So you will have hypotonia in this muscle. So this muscles will have hypotonia and loss of reflexes there. That is hyporeflexia. So at the level of lesion, at T5 suppose, or suppose it is a bunch T4, T5, 2, 3 vertebrae are damaged. So whatever level is there, at that level you will have hypotonia, because this motor neuron which is supplying the muscle, alpha motor neuron, is damaged. So this is the lower motor neuron type of lesion. So we will have hypertonia and loss of reflexes. But now below, that is here T6, T7, all below level, we will have typical picture of upper motor neuron, because there is a release from higher center. Higher influence is gone now. They are being cut off. So at this level you will have hypertonia and hyperreflexia. Is it clear? So here we have taken a complete transection spinal cord. So about the level of lesion, muscle tone is normal, reflexes are normal. At the level of lesion, hypotonia will be there because it is a alpha motor neuron is damaged. And below level of lesion, as it is a release phenomena from effect of upper fibers, that is descending tracts are not reaching to them now, so their influence of higher center is gone. So this is typical upper motor neuron type of lesion, and as the neurons are intact, we will have a hypertonia and hyperreflexia. Now plus one more classical picture we'll have in this. So again I am showing a schematic diagram here. Different segments I have shown. This is our lateral corticospinal tract. This is blue, that is a anterior corticospinal tract which is supplying bilaterally. Okay. Now these are the green which I am showing. These are interneurons. So interneurons are interconnected. So they are connecting segment above, below, right side, left side. So we can see this is the meshwork of neurons connected everywhere. So these are called as interneurons. So these are the green which I am showing here. These are all interneurons which are connecting different neurons. So because of this, a meshwork is there. Now we have taken a section at T4 now here. So what is happening now? So obviously above T4, T3 will be normal now, tone is normal. Now at this T4 you will have hypotonia will be there, classical lower motor neuron lesion. Now below means T5, T6, T7, below all. Now see what happens. This is the part of the skin which is carrying a sensory nerve. At the segment suppose T6, this is one nerve which is carrying from the sensory information from muscle spindle of T6. Now we are giving a small stimulation to this T6 with the scratching the skin, whatever stimulation is done. Impulse generated at this T6 sensory nerve. Impulse will go to the spinal cord. Now what happens now? These all neurons are now not under control from higher center. All their higher control is lost because descending tracts are not communicating with them because of the transection. So what happens now? This impulse will spread to all interneurons surrounding. Impulse will go to the alpha motor neuron at T5, T7, from right to left, everywhere. So this will generate action potential in the alpha motor neurons. This will go to all muscles will show contraction. So we are giving stimulation at this T6, but all muscles on the same side, opposite side, below level of lesion will show contraction. This is called as a mass reflex. The small stimulation, all are contracting. Why? Because this area is not under control from their higher center. So it is a release phenomena. So mass contraction takes place. In fact, we can have the patient may have a bowel bladder contraction. He may urinate, he may defecate also in that condition. So this is the mass reflex which takes place below level of lesion. It is more in case of complete transection because both sides are cut off, all crossing, no question, because everything is cut off below level of lesion. So this is called as a mass reflex in case of transection of spinal cord below level of lesion. So in the reflex recovery, at the level of lesion, there is a hypotonia, loss of reflexes. Above level of lesion, muscle tone is normal, but we will have a band of hyperesthesia will be there because the sensory nerves are going up, they are released, and there is increased sensitivity in them. So this is called as lower motor neuron lesion at the level. Now regarding the blood pressure changes, as we have discussed in the spinal shock, So if lesion is at the T1, blood pressure will be decreased. If below L2, blood pressure is normal. In between, blood pressure will be fluctuated. So these are the blood pressure changes taking place during recovery also. So in the recovery phase, what happens below level of lesion, you will have hypertonia, hyperreflexia, mass reflexes, and blood pressure level changes will be below L2, it is normal. Above T1, you will have a hypotension. In between, you will have a fluctuation. So this is upper motor neuron lesion. So these are the different recovery which is visible in the patients after the spinal shock wears off. Means above level of lesion in complete transection, motor system is normal, sensory will have a hyperreflexia. At the level of lesion, you will have hypotonia and hyporeflexia, and sensation will be variable. And below level of lesion, hypotonia, hyperreflexia, mass reflex, and blood pressure variability will be there. Now these patients of complete transection of spinal cord, what happens because of this spinal shock, and even after recovery also, when hypotonia is there, they are mostly immobilized. So because of immobilization, it can lead to bed sores. Decalcification of bones will take place because of prolonged immobilization. This will lead to hypercalcemia, release of calcium. That can lead to renal stones. It can lead to renal failure and generalized infection. So this patient need to be given very careful, so especially in case of complete transection, and again that too if at higher level. If it is lower level, for example, if it is at level of lumbar, only lower limbs are affected, upper limb are normal. So patient will mobilize on its own. He can turn in the bed. He will have its own movement will be there. But if lesion is at the level of cervical and above, more immobilization will be there. So this patient need to be cared very much. To avoid bed sores, we have to use the water beds. We have to move the patient, and we have to take care of infection. We have to maintain the hygiene. We have to maintain the fluid balance. So if proper care is given, patient may recover, and if proper care is not given, ultimately it will lead to septicemia and death. So this phase is called as reflex failure. So this failure is more as the degree of damage is more. So this will be more evident in case of complete transection, as the patient is having more trauma, less in other one. So this in complete transection, spinal shock will be there, which is around 2 weeks in case of human beings. Reflex recovery will be there. Above level of lesion, band of hyperesthesia. At level of lesion, we'll have a lower motor neuron lesion. Below level of lesion, upper motor neuron lesion and mass reflex. And this patient can go in reflex failure. So this is regarding complete transection of spinal cord. Now we'll move forward. This is again schematic diagram of our spinal cord. Now here we are taking half, so it is called as a hemisection of spinal cord. So this patient will have a spinal shock, but obviously less as compared to the complete transection. Loss of motor activities on the same side, as the fibers are supplying on the same side. Loss of sensation is variable on both sides. Mind is clear. So again cortex is spared. So let's see what are the changes are happening. So first will come the sensation. This is our track which is going up to the medulla, crossing after medulla, that is a dorsal column track which is carrying the sensation of fine touch. This is our spinothalamic tract which is crossing to opposite side and going up to the thalamus, from there to the cortex. So it is a spinothalamic tract which is carrying the sensation of pain and temperature. Now see, if you take a section here, clearly it is visible. Red on the same side is affected, as obviously will have loss of touch on same side, and the black which is crossed is affected, fibers going affected here. So obviously we'll have opposite side loss of pain and temperature. So major loss on opposite side, because pain is a crucial sensation. If pain is damaged, patient is more vulnerable to the trauma and further damage. So what is happening? Below level of lesion on same side will have loss of touch, but pain temperature on same side is spared. This is spared on same side, and on opposite side touch is spared and pain and temperature is lost. So this is called as a dissociated anesthesia. Now in case of the motor, now what is happening? See, this is our lateral corticospinal tract. So obviously already crossed from their side. So this is supplying the same side. This is our 20% fiber which is supplying bilaterally both. It is an anterior corticospinal tract. Now we have taken a section here, simple as it is evident. Above level of lesion on same side, this is normal. This will have hypotonia at the level of T5 because this motor neuron is damaged. So this will have hypotonia. Opposite side, this is normal, and this will be only 20% affected because the fibers coming from here are affected. That is on this side's corticospinal tracts are affected. So now only we'll have a motor loss on this side because these fibers are affected. So in the reflex recovery, above level of lesion hyperesthesia, at level of lesion lower motor neuron on same side, loss of touch on same side, loss of pain on both sides. Below level of lesion, see, on the same side motor loss 80%, opposite side motor loss 20% because this anterior corticospinal tract of this side are damaged. Loss of touch on same side, loss of pain and temperature opposite side. So this typical syndrome is called as a Brown-Sequard syndrome. This combination is called as a Brown-Sequard syndrome. Major motor loss on same side, major sensor loss opposite side because pain is a major sensation which is a protective one. So in the hemisection, we'll have a spinal shock. Duration will be less comparatively, recovery will be better as half part is only affected. Above level of lesion hyperesthesia, at level of lesion lower motor neuron lesion, below level of lesion upper motor neuron type lesion, sensory loss more on opposite side. Reflex failure is quite less in this because half part is intact and patient can take care of his own self. Less chances of immobilization. Patient is more mobile compared to the complete transsectional spinal cord. Chance of bed sores are less, so patient will care his own also. So chance of reflex failure is less in hemisection. Now this last category, that is a incomplete transsectional spinal cord. This is a very variable picture. For this you have to go back to the tracts and see the locations. If you recall, we have classified descending tracts into categories. One, those are passing from medially, those who are going medially, and those who are going laterally. So obviously lateral tracts, if you remember, lateral corticospinal tract, rubrospinal tract, these are the lateral. Remaining, that is a vestibulospinal tract or reticulospinal, they are going medially. So medial tracts are supplying the axial skeleton or posterior muscles of the body. Lateral supplying the distal muscles of the body. So this is quite variable in, this is called as a incomplete transsectional spinal cord. Variable picture will be there depending on the site of damage and type of damage and degree of damage. So we cannot predict how the patient will present. So for this we should have a good knowledge of location of different tracts, sensory and motor, crossed and uncrossed. So which tracts are affected, symptoms will be based on that one. So based on our assessment of clinical examination, we can check which tracts are damaged and which are being spared. So again in this, spinal shock will be there, less as compared to the complete transsectional spinal cord. will have a loss motor activity but very variable, loss of sensation again variable, and mind is clear. So we can go through again the tracts and try to find what will be the picture of a incomplete transactional spinal cord. So here we are completing the transactional spinal cord. We have learned stages of spinal cord, spinal transaction, that is spinal shock, reflex recovery, and reflex failure. So transactions are of three types. One is a complete transaction where upper and lower segments of both get separated. Hemisection, only half of spinal cord is damaged. An incomplete transaction, this happens in case of a crush injury, both lateral sides are damaged. So this completes the sections in spinal cord. So you should have a good knowledge of anatomy of origin, course, termination, crossing of the different tracts with their function. So by the clinical examination we can assess the level of damage, type of damage, and degree of damage, and how the patient will proceed from spinal shock to reflex recovery to reflex failure. So here we are completing the transactional spinal cord. Thank you.